I would definitely say there's a plus and a minus to isolation or living off the grid. For me, the need to get out of my comfort zone is definitely there. And the appreciation to go back to my comfort zone after spending a few hours in, say, like a major city or a city with traffic. And so I find myself tasking myself with doing simple things, investing in gas money now that I have a vehicle with insurance. Today I went to the gym, exerted some energy, sat in the sauna for a little bit. That's something that my body really craves and needs. And, by the time 1 o'clock comes around or 2 o'clock, I'm going to be itching to get back to my little off-grid cabin. So there's pluses and minuses that I would like to reflect on in today's video that I will be putting on my on-demand channel. Advantages, of course, having my own space, not having to be around so many materialistic women or people that are vibrating to today's mass consciousness. Because I'm not a homosexual, I don't really have an interest in men. So sometimes it isn't really sexism when you hear people talk about difficulties with the opposite sex in today's matrix, especially if the person having the difficulties is on the spiritual path or is a presenter of truth in some way. It's a very unpopular thing in today's day and age. So there's a lot of pain that comes from living in the city, a lot of loneliness. And so the advantage to being on your own is that you're not exposed to that energy. I'm going to rotate between, positive and minus, if you will. You can even call it the challenges of living off the grid. So at the top of the list, say you're like me and you're involved in putting out information that's controversial, that isn't exactly popular. I've mentioned in most of my videos that I'm getting more criticism and attacks than actual support for some reason. Those that are actually a part of the support base on my YouTube are the minority, it seems, at times. It fluctuates. When you're not having other things to do in your life and or other responsibilities, when that's all you're doing all the time, media, right? If someone's anything like me, then they're feeling more of that negative energy. And the internet is really a simulator. It's a virtual reality. Kind of like Russian dolls, a virtual reality, a clone of a clone of a clone, if you will. A clone of the Matrix world. How is this regular world so real? It too is a simulation. What I notice is on the internet, there's a lot more people falling prey to the illusions of separation openly, i.e. known as racism, extreme forms of tribalism, and the things that people leave in the comment section, really the rise of not only the internet tough guy, but the keyboard coward at the same time. Keyboard coward, internet tough guy, complete counterfeit. And then wondering, whether we're communicating with real human beings or whether we're dealing with artificial intelligence. And I don't really think that it is. Oh, look at that, we got a train here. Wow. Okay, wow, there's passengers on that one. So, there's pluses and minuses to the off-grid way of life. Going to a positive and, again, probably one of the more important reasons in a world of pollution and in a world of nuclear meltdowns, right? In a world where there's a fair amount of the smog that's on the West Coast, it's actually coming from China and Asia. In a world where some of these major cities are just complete electromagnetic pollution zones, it's good. It's good to be able to go off-grid and be in a more natural environment and to have more control over the levels of health. Mind, body, spirit, emotional. If you cannot control, or said another way, if you're in an environment to where, that environment is polluted, you can't stop that from going in your body unless you have, a special home with an air filter. And the same thing goes for water. A lot of people don't know that, like Portland, for example, and other places, the pipes that they use, And the people that are drinking out of those pipes, traces of lead that are going in their body. It's affecting their health. And then, of course, you have some of these social problems in these urban environments as a result of what is happening to their body. One of the challenges, though, of off-grid living, alternating between, you know, the ups and the downs, perceived downs, although we can really just call them challenges, is that things can get old real quick and you can forget to appreciate certain things. Like I was saying earlier, going into a city and then spending a few hours in an urban environment, or like I am right now in an urban environment next to a lake. And I'm going to go in the library in a little bit. And I also see how it's a positive for me to be living off the grid and be tapping into nature, and for nature to be impacting my auric field, and then to come back in some of these urban environments and impact that coffee shop, impact that library, impact that restaurant. And also at the same time, as I record YouTube videos, impacting the lives of my viewers in a positive way. You know, and for those that support what I do, constantly coming up with commentary and content that I believe can help them in some way. The challenges will continue to be financial for those that are on the lower income bracket. The financial challenges with living off the grid when we find ourselves up against codes and regulations, and at times in certain areas, as you saw in Costilla County, areas that used to be free, no longer. And the challenges of living in a world where few Americans will help their fellow Americans because they just don't understand the issue. Maybe they don't understand the science, basic natural science of decomposing. You know, look how many people like throw away a banana peel, you know, things of that nature. They haven't realizing some things can be composted, and not just food products, but also that which exits our body. Challenges of off-grid living is that humans have been deemed a virus, and so they rather us live in dense population centers as slaves, putting our money towards something that we're not going to rent. But again, the positives, experiencing a slice of freedom, and this will be my concluding thought, that may become extinct one day, right? There's concerns about species, particular species, going extinct. And for those that are able to live the off-grid way of life right now, you know, unless there's a major intervention like something from the sun or something huge, there are more and more regulations that seems to be regulating freedom out of existence. Not just off-the-grid living out of existence, but a free way of life. And so for those that are living off the grid right now in the year 2017, this is a very special time to be able to cherish the living experience. It's like being alive, but being alive in a different way. And so that's why I'm motivated. I'm motivated to help others. And I understand that for me, living a rural off-grid way of life, even if I don't have all of my wants, I have all of my needs. And there's something magical, there's something powerful about discussing what some people call politics. I just call it just talking about the real stuff going on. I don't put it into a box. Some choose to. There's a lot of off-gridders that choose to not be aware of what's going on in the world. They choose to just keep focusing on their video games and their Netflix or their VHS tapes. Maybe they're 8-tracks. I'm a little different than most, and that's the challenge of living off the grid for me, is that I'm the only person that I know in my neighborhood that's anything like me. In fact, I don't even know of any other off-gridders, male or female, that have some of my similar interests. And so it's lonely. But again, ending this note on the positive, life extension in a natural way, communion with spirit, and being able to be very close to nature and use the technologies literally in my hand, and computer technologies, internet technologies, to bring you a message from a non-urban environment, and that I consider to be a gift. Subscribe to my on-demand channel if you haven't already, OutsideTheBox.vhx.tv. A very special thank you to the 5 or so that are subscribers at the moment. I'm looking forward to seeing that number grow in the future. We'll see you in the next video.